The Vancouver real estate market is at a breaking point. We now have the most amount of inventory in the detached segment as well as the condo segment since 2014. And in terms of house pricing, after treading water for the past 12 months, we have now had 3 consecutive month-over-month drops to the HPI, which is the home pricing index. So is this bubble in Vancouver going to finally burst? Are we going to see this correction that so many people have been longing for and calling for so many years? We know that the tariffs, the stock market, there's so much uncertainty here. And I think there's definitely a correlation to what's going on in this real estate market with that uncertainty. So we're going to go through some data, some charts, so that you are up to date with what's going on here in Vancouver. My name is Kyle Mark, your Vancouver realtor. And if you're needing some clarity in these uncertain times, make sure you book a discovery call with me. All my information is in the description below. I'm super easy to get a hold of, and I am here to help. Before we get into the technical data in terms of the sales, the listings, things of that nature, I did want to bring up these 3 charts here about dwellings under construction, so you have an idea of what's going on in the here and now and what to prognosticate in the years to come. And you can see right here with this comment, it feels like a well-supplied market for now, but things can change quickly when there's this little new supply in the pipeline. For real estate professionals with clients who may want to purchase a single family home in the near future, you should be showing them this chart, and that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you right here and right now. You can see here Vancouver total dwellings under construction. This is the 2025 line here, and you can see that we've been paused here for the last year or so and starting to break downward. When we move on to the secondary chart, Vancouver dwellings under construction here on the right, this shows a good idea of where the most amount of construction is coming from. And you can see with this orange line here are the purpose-built rentals. We have well over 20,000 that are going to complete here in 2025 in Vancouver, and that's just giving people in the space here in Vancouver options. Obviously, there's a flood of units coming to the rental market. That has been one of the reasons why we've seen a drop in rents, and it's giving buyers options rather than having to stress out on a mortgage. And with these higher rates, they can maybe get a more affordable option on the housing market when it comes to rents. You can see that for condos here over the last several months, we're starting to drop in terms of dwellings under construction. And yes, we hit here at a peak at around 2024, but we also know this is starting to drop. So if there's nothing in the pipeline, and I've highlighted this previously, we are 40 to 50 year lows when it comes to permits. So there's not a lot of stuff that's coming up to have these numbers go upward. So we know that in the future there is going to be a supply issue. And for single family homeowners, the detached market is so soft in so many areas across the Lower Mainland. You really need to take this as an opportunity to start making some serious decisions of getting in here, because look at, we've had single family dwelling units under construction at a low essentially since the 1990s, and it's going to continue to decrease as more of these detached properties get torn down and these triplexes, fourplexes, duplexes continue to get built. And finally, Vancouver single family dwellings under construction. Again, this is a more detailed line from this 1990 chart. You can see this is a stark contrast coming down and dropping down very, very hard. We're at the lowest levels since 2010, and I continue this to continue to drop. So obviously, if you can get in, own some dirt, as these detached properties become extinct, you're going to have a lot of value here. When it comes to inventory, and these are some really important charts that I want to show you here. So this one here, top left, single family home sales, over on the right, condo sales. And you can see that this black line here, it's hard to see with all this data, but these black lines here is 2025. And what you can see is we're at the very much at the bottom here in terms of condo home sales. The only year that was lower than this is this yellow line, and that was in 2019. And both the condo market and the single family market, the sales are off to a very, very slow start, something that we haven't seen in quite some time. We're right around this 1,000 marker. We're at its peak. We were seeing 2.5 to 3 times in some of these years. 2021, we're at 3,000. So that just shows you how slow the market is driving right now when it comes to sales and why properties continue to sit. When it comes to Vancouver monthly new listings, you can see that we've had a nice little run up ever since 2023 with these seasonally adjusted numbers as they continue to grow and grow and grow in terms of these listings here. So with 2025, we're right about that 6,000 mark, and that is nearing all-time highs, which is a good thing for you as a buyer. In opposition to the sales and how they're at near decade lows, inventory is near the very top, or at the top I should say. You can see active MLS listings here. Again, we're looking at this black line, and it's breaking out to the highest amount that we've seen since this data has been taking place since 2015. So for across the board, across MLS listings here in Vancouver, we have the most amount of inventory since 2015. And you can see here with the single family inventory here with these black lines, we are at the top since 2015. And similarly with this month, with the last month of March data here, we crisscrossed over this mark that was previously held in 2015, and we have surpassed that now in 2025. So these are all great markers for you as a buyer to really seriously consider getting into the market. I am having conversations with clients who are thinking about waiting. Opportunities like this don't last a long time. You may have several months here to get into the market, but once we see these extremely soft dips, I was speaking to an agent who'd been in the industry for 32 years. He said this is the second or third most challenging market he's seen. So in about 3 decades, this is one of the best opportunities for you as a buyer to get in. So that's really important for you to take this stuff seriously. This is not just propaganda from agents. This is good, sound advice. And like I said, if you need some more information, book that discovery call with me. That link is in the description below. As we get onto pricing here and showing you this graph, down here on the bottom left, Vancouver MLS HPI, and for you at home referencing what this is, HPI is like the CPI consumer price indexing. The HPI is the house pricing index, where they take a standard home with a standard lot in a standard area and have an average for that home pricing. And you can see that, as I said right off the top, we have really been treading water this last month, and there hasn't been any, it's been flatlined, the market, in terms of pricing. But now we've had 3 consecutive months, and you can see this little bit of a tailspin. We haven't seen this since 2023, where it dropped and started to flatline. So where is this really going to go? And the comment here, it says, after adjusting for seasonality, the math shows the MLS HPI down 0.3% decline in March, the 3rd consecutive decline. As with Toronto, prices have broken down to the downside after 12 months of treading water. So with all of this, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Obviously, when we look at the last charts with sales being very, very low, inventory going very, very high, likely the pricing is going to continue to drop here a little bit. There are still segments, and it's a very sensitive marketplace. There are segments where there's still multiple offers with good product, and there's great deals also in the marketplace, both in townhouses, condos, and the single family realm. There's a lot of people that are having financial issues here. They can't complete with mortgage renewals. We have a record number of mortgage renewals happening here in 2025 and 2026 respectively. So people are starting to get ahead of the curve, wanting to just liquidate these properties so they're not at risk of not making their payments and having the bank foreclose on properties. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. With that being said, as a seller, it's not all bad. There are a lot of areas, and I have it in my last video talking about some very strong seller market conditions in certain areas around Vancouver as well. So it's really dependent. It's a very strange market. Buyer behaviors changed the last year. Usually people have been very specific of where they wanted to buy. If it was just a couple block radius in Kitsilano or Yaletown or Mount Pleasant, now we're seeing people looking from Richmond to Vancouver to Coquitlam, and this huge radius is really what's causing a little bit of a problem. We have so much inventory to choose from, and because of that, buyers are really taking a step back and looking for themselves what is the best deal, and that's why we're seeing these days on market to continue to climb up. Finally, as we make our way through the last couple charts here, this one, months of inventory, you can see that we're essentially at 7 months of inventory here. These are some of the highest levels. 2013 we were at the same point, and then 2019. So months in inventory essentially says it will take 7 months of the continued sales numbers that we're seeing for these inventory levels to drop to 0. So this means as a buyer, you want these to be as high as possible. In opposition, when months of inventory is quite low, you can see in 2016, 21, 22, this is when the real estate market really jumps off and pricing starts to go upward. But you can see usually when it drops down, we have a consecutive amount of years where inventory starts to pile up, and then we start to see on the decline. So if we use this as a barometer for history, you can see that in the areas where it's a little bit low, it starts to track up for the next couple years, and then it's about a 3 to 4 year drop in terms of pricing and months of inventory. So is this something that we're seeing here? We now have consecutive months of an increase here. Is this going to be the top here in 2025? Are we going to start to see inventory dropping in the years to come and pricing increase? I think for sure we can see that already with some of these construction numbers, the permits that are so far behind, and construction projects being paused or put on hold because it's just too expensive because of the tariffs, and developers are not wanting to build right now and want to hedge their bets and not lose here in the scenario where it's more of a buyer's market. So when we look at these charts, it is important for you, whether you're a buyer or seller, to take heed of the history here. And I think we can see over the last 15 years here, there is some history here showing the working way up of months of inventory, and then on the backside dropping down. So I do think the next 8 months to 12 months, you're going to have some really good conditions as a buyer. But I think after that, you wait longer than a year, I think these charts are going to be on the inverse. We're going to see inventory to come down, pricing start to come up, but that is still a little ways away. So that's all I have for you today with this update here. I'll see you on the next one. And like I said, book that discovery call with me. We can go into these charts in even further detail. Thanks so much.